Hello everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today with no makeup on because I thought I'll do a bit of a chatty get ready with me using some of the newer products that I have bought recently. Now I don't buy heaps of makeup, I don't buy the newest thing, but sometimes there's things that like capture my attention. And yesterday I bought a concealer and a sort of shimmery blush that I really want to use on camera. And then I realized I also have my Mecca order that I got using like a birthday voucher. And there's a couple of things in there, an eyeshadow, a lip balm that I thought I haven't opened them yet and I want to play with them, so I'll play with them all on camera. Another thing that I want to put on straight away because I'm looking in the viewfinder, I look like a bit of a corpse. It's very cold today in Melbourne, and last night it was like 6 degrees in my bedroom and I turned the heater on, and I think because of that I'm a bit drier than normal. So I'm actually going to put my new Laneige Glowy Lip Balm in Taro Bubble Tea. I did buy this from Adore Beauty. I don't love the colour. It's this sort of like pale lavender colour and it looks a bit milky on the lips, but it feels really nice. So while I'm doing the rest of my makeup, I just thought it's like, let's just hydrate the lips a little bit. Doesn't help much with the corpse look because it's looking extra corpse, but at least I'm a shiny corpse. So I actually got the pot version of this as well, so the lip sleeping mask. I currently have my watermelon one next to my bed, but I love taro flavored things, so I thought, look, I want to get it. It does smell very lightly of taro, but I do think it's more of a bubble tea smell, so it smells a little bit like tea mixed with taro, which is totally fine because it's a bubble tea inspired thing. I really like it, but I don't think the colour is that flattering. But anyway, I'm going to talk about some of the products that I have bought recently. So yesterday I went to Sephora, and you might know in Australia we finally have Haus Labs in store. So this came in store a couple of weeks ago, I think. Previously we could buy from the website, but you can't go in and swatch things. And I've heard such great things about their base products that I wanted to check out their concealer. Now, realistically, I do want to try the Haus Labs foundation at some point in time, but I sort of feel like I've got to use up quite a few foundations before I bring a new one in. So it's sort of almost like use up 4, bring 1 in, just to sort of minimize my collection. Whereas I only have 2 other concealers on the go, and they're the same type of concealer, just different shades that I mix. So it's sort of like I've got one concealer, well, one formula anyway. So I found that reason enough to buy the Triclone Skin Tech Concealer. It looks really full coverage. I ended up getting the shade 4, which is Fair Neutral. I mainly picked that one. I think it's a bit light for me, but I thought the undertones were really good. It almost had like a grey undertone, which generally means it's going to work for me. So I picked that one up full price. It is what it is. And then when I was looking at the stand, I also decided to pick up the Bio Radiant Gel Powder Highlighter. Now they have some beautiful like champagne-y, cooler toned highlighters, and they're really like wet look and twinkly, which are really pretty. But you know me, I don't mind a bit of color. I ended up picking up the shade Fire Opal. Now the packaging of this is stunning because it's white with this iridescent layer on it, and when it picks up the light, like you can't see it here, but when it picks up the light at the moment it looks purple, then it looks like green. It's very, very cool, but the shade is like extremely beautiful. It looks super duper bold. So this looks like a really bold gold sort of coral shade, but what I really was impressed with and why I had to pick this up, again, full price, usually I wait for a sale is my point there, is because this actually was predominantly the color in the shimmer. But it doesn't have a strong base color. So when I was looking to replace my Stereo Rose by MAC, it was really hard to find a replacement because there's a lot of recommendations for similar colors, but it's got too much base color to it. Whereas this, you think this is going to look super, super duper bold, but when you swatch it, it's actually not, because it's more the shimmer that has the color and there's actually not much base color to it. So it just reflects this beautiful sort of peachy color. Whereas when you look at it on the side, there's not a strong blush that it leaves behind. So I was like, I've got to try this. Then a few weeks ago when it was my birthday, I had a Mecca voucher and I ordered a little Mecca Max eyeshadow single. This is Double Jinx, which is one that I've heard really good things about because it's like a shifty sort of twinkly, like everyday one. It almost looks like it's a mauve to maybe like a teal color to a gold. It's very pretty. And I have tried to buy this in the past, but it's often sold out. And then I've really wanted to try the Summer Fridays Lip Butter Balm. I picked up Vanilla Beige, which is one that I've tried in store before. I just couldn't really justify the price, but when you've got a voucher, you're like, okay, let's do it. So these are all the things I'm going to wear today. Now, obviously that doesn't make a full face. So what I'm going to be doing is also using my Project Pan stuff, which I've got a lot of the stuff here. So if I'm applying anything that I haven't mentioned, I'll have it listed in the description box, but it's a Project Pan product. So it's one that I've mentioned time and time again. And my last video was a Project Pan update. So you'll hear a bit about it. I swear this camera picks up redness more than anything else, because yes, I get redness in my face, but this is, it doesn't look this bad. Anyway, I don't like primer. I've mentioned this multiple times, but I'm just using this to use it up. And in winter, well, it's not winter yet, but in the cooler months, it is nice to have like an extra layer of hydration. Oh man, that got in my eye and it stings. Blech. The problem with doing my makeup on camera as well is that I'm not sitting at my table and I'm not applying it normally. I never get primer in my eye, but apparently I did today, and this one stings. I'm mixing two foundations pretty much like half just to get my proper shade. Neither of those are good for me. But anyway, what have I been up to recently? I've been up to a bit actually. I feel like I haven't been making much makeup content, not because I am not wearing makeup. I am. I'm wearing it every day. I'm enjoying makeup, which is great. But I just find that, this is what I'm doing, I just find that I'm not buying anything new. I'm sort of struggling to come up with video concepts where I'm just reusing things. I do have that sort of new series that I want to start where I'm sort of battling off some basic products. I'm thinking of calling it like Battle of the Basics. And I really want to use this concealer against the current concealer I have and see which one wins, because ultimately what I want to do is I want to have sort of some basics in my collection. It's a lot of foundation. Basics in my collection, whether it's a powder, whether it's a primer, whether it's an eyeshadow primer, whether it's a brow pencil, where I just know that I only, like, that I've found my best one. And if that takes me sort of matching them off and doing half face with one, half face with the other until I find my perfect powder or my perfect primer or my perfect concealer, that's going to be my goal. So that's going to be a sort of ongoing series that I'm going to do. And I'm going to probably next, I'll probably do concealer, because I've got this new concealer and I want to see how it stacks up compared to, I had this breakout here the other week and it still caused a scar and it's really annoying. Yeah, I want to see how it stacks up compared to the current concealer that I have. Okay, I'm just sort of using my damp sponge to take off any excess, so I'm not looking too heavy and cakey, but that 50-50 split with the two shades works really well for me. I'm going to go in with concealer now. Now, what I think is really interesting about this one, firstly, it is a bit light, is what it is. I went for the undertone matching more than the depth of color, because I can use a little bit of brightening if I need it. But this is really cool because this looks like it's just been poured. It hasn't been like opened, but you can see how thick it is, so it doesn't move in the tube. It's like super thick. So it's got this sort of paddle applicator. Quite a lot comes out, which is good. And yeah, again, it's really thick. So, ooh, I'm worried that this one will like eventually get too gluggy, but I might put a little bit here. Just where I've got a bit of redness and whatnot, and start just tapping it in. Okay. The color is really good. So I did swatch this in store, like I said, but I didn't apply it on my face. I think I'm getting to a stage though that I can swatch something on my hand and know if it's going to suit me. This might not suit me in the warmer months. Oh, I say that and then I never tan, so that's a joke. I'm always fair. But I think this works really well with my skin tone. It's really dewy. I don't know if you can see how dewy that is, which is good if you've got really dry skin. Dewiness, it can be really good for me, but I do need some setting ability. Otherwise it sort of settles into creasing and fine lines, but this seems to flex quite well with the skin. And what I mean by that is I've got these creases here from lack of Botox, and as you move, it sort of moves the foundation and makes it settle a bit funny unless you really powder it. But this seems to have flexed in there really nicely. So I like this concealer so far. Very thick though, thicker than what I'm used to. And it is quite a cool undertone, but I like that. I think that is what I need. Now I'm going to powder it with my Project Pan powder. I did do a battle of the powders when I did that sort of, when I started that series. And my Glossier one, even though I don't mind it, Oh, this does go really peachy though, doesn't it? Look. Yeah, the Huda one won out compared to that one anyway. So next time, a few people are mentioning maybe picking up the one size powder. So what I might do is after I finish this Glossier one, and I've only got one powder left in my collection, I might pick up the one size one and do a battle off with the Huda one and see which one I think is better. So that's kind of the format I'm going to go. But I'm just going to powder this sufficiently because, again, that is really dewy on me. If you had really dry skin, you'd be really loving that. For me, I'm just worried it's going to crease and move. So I'm just going to be using a bit of loose powder and really sort of tapping that in. Everything is looking really nice. Everything's sitting really beautifully. It's looking a bit corpse-like at the moment, a bit fair, but that's because I haven't put colour back in my face. But everything is looking really like nice. Like obviously I've got some really small movement lines and whatnot going on, but they don't look emphasized or dry or creasy. Same as the forehead. Like yes, there's movement lines, but they don't look too... Sometimes some foundations and powders really like make them look really obvious. I think this is nice. This is a nice combo. It's actually funny because normally when I do my makeup without a camera, I will do my base first, then I'll do my cheeks, eyes, eyebrows, lips. That's generally what I do. But I noticed that when I'm on camera, because I find this looks so stark, I always then do eyes next. So we're going to do eyes next and then come back to cheeks. But I'm very, like, I think the thing I'm most excited to use in this video is the cheek product. So we're waiting. Eyeshadow primer. So I'm going to just put a little bit on. I just want it to be sort of like a wash of shimmer. I don't want to build it up too much and make the eyes the feature. So yeah, I had my birthday the other week, which was not very eventful. I'm definitely feeling the fact that as you get older, I'm 39, it's less of a big deal. And also my son's birthday is a few days before mine, so it's always like his week, so it is what it is. But what else has happened? We just getting over being sick for like a week and a half, which was annoying. Lots of sleep disruption, a lot of home from kinder, all that kind of jazz. Okay, we're going in with shimmery goodness from Mecca Max. We did buy a new car, which was very exciting. So our last car is now 10 years old. And I was like, I don't need a new car. I'm cool with a 10-year-old car. That's totally fine. But, oh, this is really pretty. Hang on, I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to turn the brightness down so we can really see the prettiness. Again, this is a fairly cheap eyeshadow, and it is vegan, cruelty-free. You can just get it at Mecca. It's their home brand. So really pretty. I like this one. It's very like fairy-esque because it's like that cool sort of mauvey pink and it catches like this greeny color. It's very pretty. I'm just going to go in with my Project Pan palette and I'm just going to use this shade. This is from M Cosmetics. I'll have the name of it in the description box if you want to check it out. But I do like to run something just sort of blend out the lower lash line a little bit. I think it just works a bit, it works well for my eye shape. Another Mecca Max product, this is just in my Project Pan, so it's a liquid liner. So let's just get a little bit of definition on the top lash line. Yeah, so we got a new car and it's such a weird experience having a new car because it's not a common thing that we do, obviously. But it feels so futuristic compared to our old car. And it's funny how precious you can sort of like, my partner and I get, like, we went on a drive and there was like, we decided to take it for a bit of a drive Saturday morning just to get out of the house and it was rainy. Went out to see wind farms. That's a bit weird, but my son really loves wind farms and wind turbines and stuff. And the kids just trekked in all this like dirt and rocks and stuff in the car. And the first thing I did when we got home was like, I'm vacuuming the car. Apparently I can't do even liner while I'm talking, but it is what it is. But yeah, we ended up getting an electric car, which suits our lifestyle, but it is one of those things where you have to really, not prep for, but if you're going to do a long drive, you sort of have to, it's a different way of thinking. Like you can't just fill up a tank and be like, all right, off we go. We'll be good for like the next 2 weeks. You know, you really have to sort of make sure you got the right charge. And if there isn't, like stop at a charging station, which is really, to be fair, no different than stopping at a petrol station. But it's just a sort of different mentality that we're sort of wrapping our heads around a bit. This mascara is drying up, but I'm just not willing to let it go. At what point? When do you give up a mascara? Because it's not performing as well as it used to. I feel like it's taking me a lot longer to get my makeup on, or my mascara on, but I'm also like, it still works. Okay, this is not in my project pan, but it's a MAC brow pencil. I'll have the name in the description box. I just want to get some colour back in my brows. But yeah, this week I've got my last grandparent died last week, which mind you, he was 92 and he was quite unwell, so we saw it coming. But we got the funeral this week. End of an era, no more grandparents, which is odd, but I am also 39. Next week I'm going to Adelaide for work. And whenever I mention like going somewhere for work, a lot of people are like, oh, you're doing this and that, and you're going on winery tour and you're doing, and I'm like, no, going to the airport, catching an Uber from the airport to a hotel, staying in the hotel, working in the hotel, probably in the lobby or the restaurant, probably eating in the hotel, and then going to an event we're running, and then going back to the hotel, and then the next day leaving to catch an Uber to the airport, and then an Uber home. So it's really like traveling for work like, I love doing it because I get to go with some team members, and I find it really fun catching up with them and spending time with them because we work remotely. So we only really see each other on our screens. But otherwise it's like, yeah, I'm not having a tour of Adelaide, unfortunately. I do like Adelaide. So now that I've got mascara and brows on, you can see how when I put my matte on the lower lash line, I think when I first do it, it looks a little bit odd, but it kind of like, I feel like it balances things out a lot better. That's just what I think anyway. Not everyone has to think that. All right, moment of truth. This is the exciting part. This is the really cool part. What brush do I use? Who knows? How much do I pick up? Who knows? Let's figure it out. So I'm using this as a blush highlighter today. And let's see how easily it picks up. Quite easily. There's a lot of pink there. So this is a lot more intense than like Stereo Rose, which I know people did mention this kind of thing as a Stereo Rose dupe. I don't think it is a dupe. I think it's a lot more twinkly, a lot more colourful, but it will give me a nice effect. So I'm going to use this mirror. All right, let's see how this little thing goes. Oh, it's almost duochromy a little bit. So I'm putting it on and I'm seeing pink down here, but then it's catching, oh, you can see it too. It's looking very gold. You can see it's like very twinkly. It's not going to be for everyone. Not going to be for everyone. I think it's very pretty. And again, I think it adds to that sort of like Bridgerton beautiful cheek thing where it's like this beautiful highlighted cheek. I think that's gorgeous. I'm just going to blend out the bottom a little bit. I don't think I use the right brush. I feel like it's not blending it very evenly. Let's swap it out. Yeah, bigger brush sort of sweeps it a lot nicer and you don't get a sort of, wasn't patchy, just wasn't sort of as smooth as this is. So these kind of blushes use, well, it's a highlighter technically, but I'm using this as a blush highlighter in one. Use a bigger, fluffier brush and really sweep it over. I'm going to put a little bit of here. I know people don't like highlighter on the nose too much, and that's totally fine. You do you. But I just find that if I'm catching the light here and I'm matte everywhere else, it can look a little bit odd. So if there's not too much base color, I can sort of put it in other areas where you would catch the light a bit naturally and it sort of is a bit more cohesive. Just wiped off my lip product and I'm going to go in with this one just to see. Oh, finally the sun is coming out and things are not looking so corpse grey. All right, so I have swatched this in store. I thought this was going to be the colour I'd wear most. Let's have a look. Oh, this is like nice and gripping to your lips. So it's got that curve. Colour's beautiful. Scent is really nice. They do have different scents for different colours, so just be aware of that. This one has this like, it's definitely vanilla-y, but it's also almost like a vanilla milkshake or vanilla latte. There's something like very creamy to it. And it's super shiny and I love that brown. So this is a beautiful colour. I don't know how, this is something I'm going to have to wear quite a bit to see how some lip products dry out my lips over time, and the more I use it, the drier my lips feel. So time will tell if that's the case with this one, but it feels really nice. It almost feels like a hybrid between like a lip balm and a lip oil. It's a lip butter balm, whatever that means. All right, it's a good 8 hours later, and I have to say my makeup is holding up very nicely today. I did wear a red lip because I was doing a lot of filming for Beauty News and whatnot. So I had this on, I ate lunch, put on a red lip, took it off, put this back on this lip. So this is nice. It's comfortable. It actually wears reasonably well. Quite hydrating. I don't know if it's my favorite sort of lip balm formula. I kind of think the Laneige Glowy lip balm is, if it had this sort of brownie nude color, I'd probably like that a bit more. I think the problem with the Laneige ones is they don't have colors that I normally would want. I think they brought some out recently. Whatever. Anyway, rambling. The cheeks are beautiful. You can see that it stayed on really nicely. I do think that as the day goes on, I sort of feel like the gold becomes the more prominent part compared to like the pinky cheek. So I definitely think it's you got to suit a warmer highlighter color. So I still really like it. I think it gives a really beautiful glowy effect, but I don't think it's as versatile as Stereo Rose, which didn't have the gold. It had just more of a sort of corally shift to it, which was really, really pretty. I think my favorite thing is actually like the eyeshadow is creasing a bit. Look at that. So this is over a primer. So that's not the best. I think the color is still really pretty. And it's a nice one and done eyeshadow. Like it's still twinkly, it's still really gorgeous. In this lighting, you can see that it's really beautiful. I actually think the concealer is the best part. The eyeshadow is also migrating a bit. But I think the concealer has held up really nicely. I'm not regretting any of these purchases. I do need to play around with them a bit more. I will do some sort of Battle of the Basics type tests, maybe with the lip product and definitely the concealer. But I think the best makeup product I think that's on my face, best performing thing is the concealer. The rest are really lovely, but I think the concealer just looks really fresh. Like it's nearly time for me to go have a shower and get in my PJs, but like my makeup still looks really fresh and I think it's the base. So bit of fun to have a play around with some new products. If you want to see any comparisons or in-depth sort of reviews, I'll try to do a few of those coming up, but thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Bye.